A little girl was lying in bed one night when she heard a tapping on her window. She was rather frightened, but she went to her window and opened it, telling herself it was probably just the wind. But when she looked out, do you know what she saw? It was a little creature, as black as soot, with bright yellow eyes, and it was sitting on a cat that appeared to be flying. "Hello," said the creature. "Would you like to come flying?" "Yes, please," said the little girl. She climbed out of her window, onto the cat, and off they flew. Everyone wants to escape sometimes, to climb out their window and soar to the skies above, leaving all their troubles behind. But these escapes can have their consequences. Even so, they don't usually stop us from doing them all over again. In The Fly-By-Night by Terry Jones. "Hang on tight," said the creature. "Where are we going?" asked the little girl. "I don't know." "Who are you?" asked the little girl. "I haven't got a name. I'm the Fly-By-Night." And the Fly-By-Night pulled back on the cat's whiskers, and up they soared into the stars. The little girl looked around her at the bright stars that seemed to wink at her and chuckle to themselves. But then she looked back down at the dark earth, and she was suddenly frightened again. "But how will we find our way back?" "Oh, don't worry about that," said the Fly-By-Night. "What does it matter anyway?" The Fly-By-Night pushed down on the cat's whiskers, and down they soared towards the dark earth. "But I must be able to get home. My mother and father will wonder where I am." "Oh, poop-de-doo," said the Fly-By-Night, and he pulled back on the cat's whiskers, and up they soared, up and up, into the stars again. And all the stars started humming together and singing in unison. "Boodle-dum-dee, boodle-dum-da, isn't it great, being a star?" And all the stars had hands, they started clapping together. And the moon, in a big, broad voice, the moon joined in. "I'm just the moon, but that's fine with me, as long as I hear that boodle-dum-dee." And the cat opened its mouth wide and sang, "Wee!" And they looped the loop and turned circles to the rhythm of the stars. But the little girl only started to cry and said, "Oh, please, I want to go home." "Oh, no, you don't," said the Fly-By-Night, and he pulled back on the cat's whiskers, and the stars shot past them like silver darts. "But I do," said the little girl. "Please take me home." "Oh, spoil sport," said the Fly-By-Night, and he stopped the cat dead. And he tipped the cat over, and down they shot towards the dark earth. So fast, they left their stomachs behind them at the top, and landed on a silent hill. "Here you are," said the Fly-By-Night. "But this isn't my home," said the little girl. "Oh, it'll be around here somewhere, I expect." "But we've come miles and miles from my home." But it was too late. The Fly-By-Night had already pulled back on the cat's whiskers, and all that was left of him was a dark shape, silhouetted against the moon. The little girl looked around her and shivered, wondering if there were any wild animals about. "Which way shall I go?" she wondered. "Try the path through the woods," said a rock at her feet. So the little girl set off in the dark woods. But as she walked, the trees blotted out the light of the moon with their leaves, and that she felt she could hear them snigger to themselves. "That'll teach her to go off with a fly-by-night." And suddenly, she felt a cold, icy hand grip the back of her neck. But it was just a cobweb sung with dew. And she felt she could hear the spider, busying itself with the pears, muttering, "Tut, tut, 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 what a silly girl, to go off with a fly-by-night, tut, 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 tut." And as she walked, there were little voices on the wind you couldn't really hear, whispering, "What a silly girl, to go off with a fly-by-night. She should have known better." Eventually, the little girl felt so silly and so lost that she just sat down and cried by a still pond. "Now then, what's the matter?" said a kindly voice. The little girl looked up, and then all around her. But there was no one. "Look in the pond," said the voice. So the little girl peered down to the pond below her, and there was the reflection of the moon, smiling back up at her. "Don't take on so," said the moon. "What's the matter?" "Oh, I've just been so silly, and now I'm so hopelessly lost, I don't know how I'll ever find my way home." "Oh, don't worry about that," said the moon. "Hop on the lily pad and follow me." So the little girl stepped cautiously onto a lily pad, and as the moon's reflection glided across the surface of the path, the little girl paddled the lily pad after it, till eventually There, in the distance, was a hill she recognized. And then there was her own house. The little girl climbed in through her own window and snuggled into her own dear bed and thought how silly she'd been to go off with a fly-by-night. But, deep down inside her, she half hoped she'd another tap on her window, and there would be another fly-by-night, offering her another ride on his flying cat. But she never did.